everyone, and welcome to a new series that I am doing called Talk to Me About Character. Today we are starting off with A.B.A, which is very interesting because she's not actually a true Guilty Gear character in a weird sense because she's designed by Mori and not really Daisuke. But I figured so many people are really enthusiastic about Guilty Gear characters. You know, their designs, their lore, their gameplay. You can see it all over Twitter. It is everywhere. You can see it online, you can see it in how people present themselves at locals. People with Guilty Gear characters specifically outside of any other FG, they get really attached to their main. So I wanted to start this series to, bring some positivity to the scene. I've seen a lot of, people getting angry about other people's mains and this and that, and I just thought, hey, we should get some people on that really do love their main and can talk to others about it. I am your host, D. I am joined here by my co-host, Jay. Say hello.
Hello.
And I have brought on 3 of premier A.B.A lovers. First up, we have Melly.
Hi.
This is also Blue Ribs on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I do a lot of art. I also play the games. I mostly play Soul and Viking, but A.B.A is also one of my favorite characters.
Next up, we have Nep, or also known as Nepster Boop on Twitter.
Hello. I don't do much. I play games. I exist. Yeah.
That's the best thing we can hope for. And next up, we also have, last but not least, Ramona, also known as Rom Prom.
Hello, A.B.A's my Blorbo.
Yo.
A.B.A's my Blorbo too.
So today we are going to talk about Guilty Gear's one and only premier emo girl, scene girl, awesome girl, A.B.A. And I just figured I would start off with a quick question. What brought you guys into loving A.B.A?
She's very gender.
So true.
I mean,
I like alchemy stuff.
That for sure, but I feel like it's very uncommon to have like a female character who's just portrayed as A.B.A is, I guess. It's hard for me to describe, but just in a way that's... She's just a very unorthodox female character, to say the least. She's weird, she's unsettling, and she's kind of an asshole too, and I love that about her. She's just...
Yeah, absolutely.
She's an idiot, but she's also a complete dick to everyone around her.
I think it's really interesting that in a series with things like Faust and Zappa, things that are explicitly horror designed, and Zato too, you really only have A.B.A and slightly Delilah portraying like the horror angle from a feminine side, and I think it's really what makes A.B.A stand out compared to the whole cast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really love, that she's just covered in all this blood and bandages, too,
Yes! Yes! I'm a big fan of them.
It gives her that perfect macabre vibe.
Oh, absolutely.
I've always really liked the alchemy side of her. I know very little about alchemy, but I've always thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that's another thing that makes her just really unique.
Yeah, alchemy in general is, kind of unexplored in Guilty Gear. I think maybe only Faust explores that angle as, a doctor-scientist, but I can't really think of anyone else that explores alchemy and, the in-depth of magic in Guilty Gear, quite like, I guess, A.B.A does, because she is a creation.
Yeah.
I guess other than, the Valentines, since they're technically creations too, there's not really much.
I would say A.B.A definitely explores a lot more emotions than the Valentines do, though, because...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Gonna have a quick Valentine breakdown?
Something about the Valentines and emotions, just, whoa.
It makes me wonder, because I know, with the Valentines and with, other magical foci, what's his face? Izuna? He talks about, he doesn't start off with emotions, but over time, they learn them and just sort of become people. And I'm wondering was A.B.A like that, or is A.B.A just always like how she is?
Yeah, it makes me wonder, I know part of A.B.A.'s story is that she was isolated for 10 years, and then suddenly she had this fascination with, keys, and now she's just out exploring the world, and this is, her fresh personality. So, and it's strange to me, too, that she's not exactly the most freakish about it. Something I've noticed when A.B.A speaks is that she's generally kind of polite to people. She is angry and mean towards people, but she's also, kind of polite when she approaches them a bit.
She's
She's
very
very, like,
cordial.
she's
Yeah,
very straightforward.
it's something that I've noticed, especially with like a lot of her win quotes. She's very eloquent, but like in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like for like she uses phrases that I think she probably doesn't really know what they mean. Like I know like her win quote against Chip, she says, "Like a sloth to a flame, that is you." or against May, she says, "When it rains, it snows."
She's so silly. I really love her.
She's just she's really something else.
She is the moment. She is everything.
She's the blueprint. She was made from the
Really
blueprint.
So, do any of you guys like main her in Plus R?
Oh yeah.
So what was it about Plus R, like A.B.A, that you really like, and how does she play in Plus R? I am a Strive newbie. I do not play Plus R at all. I can mash buttons. That's about it. And I'm a fucking Eno player. So I mean, I've got something in common with A.B.A. You know, we're both gorillas, I guess. But how does she work in Plus R?
Her whole thing is that she rushes in to get a command grab, and then changes her stance to something that gives her extra specials, a whole bunch of extra frame data, just everything about her improves drastically, although at minor expense of getting damaged as she deals damage. But the way that it all comes together, just the capabilities that she gains after the command grab give her such... something about it is so viscerally satisfying to pull off combos you never could before, to pull off combos that you only can get in that one singular opportunity.
I think it's so cool that she goes from like a character with the worst frame data, like just somewhat, you know, bottom tier character, that as soon as she gets that little bit of edge, just it explodes and becomes really, really strong and like a real menace. You really have to watch out for her.
Absolutely.
And I think that, like, dichotomy is really represented in her design pretty well, too. Like, you can really feel, like, the separation between Moroha mode and normal mode, where she just goes absolutely ballistic when she gets a little bit of blood. Like, all the blood on her clothes and things like that.
Something that's also, like, a really interesting thing is that when she's in Moroha mode, every single attack that she lands, like, a couple drops of blood fall on the ground. So like not only is it like taking life away from her like in the game, it's like visualized too in the sprites where like she's literally bleeding out. And I like to think that it's just she's like too aggressive maybe, that's like just like tearing open stitches on accident.
Like she's going beyond what she's meant to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's kind of sad in a
That's the
sense,
vibe I get.
but like it's like really cool and like in a weird empowering way too. Like, oh, she is giving everything to just tear things apart and get what she wants.
One of the best examples of that I have found is her fireball move is literally her ripping blood out of herself and throwing it at the opponent.
Yeah. Or in her what's it? Like her normal mode super that's exclusive to normal mode where it creates those like 3 big explosions. Like she like tears open her arm to use her blood to cast like the spell with.
Hey, could someone start the match on Plus R?
Oh right.
Yeah, I've been sitting in a training mode and I've just been hitting buttons and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think.
Jay?
Oh no, I was gonna say, I think that her stronger moves being so self-destructive is also like really thematically resonant with her character, because like a lot of other Guilty Gear characters, she was made with a certain intention in mind by another person that she doesn't really feel beheld to. Like she's trying to live her own life despite being what is based on appearances and superficial impressions alone, like this horrible, monstrous creature. But in actuality, she's relatively well composed, and she's doing what she can to fit in society and just pursue the things that make her happy. I really like the wiki's description of her character too, and I'm imagining it's probably lifted directly from the game's bio for her, where it says that she has nothing but love in her heart. But you know, she's still clumsy. She still can't perfectly articulate herself sometimes when she's talking with people, so we'll still like borrow a phrase from a context that it was maybe more appropriate in and then use it somewhere that it's not. But that's what's driving her still. Is I just want to be slightly different. I really like how that's reflected in her arcade mode interaction, because even though she is kind of a judgmental little asshole, she does it in a very normal person kind of way. Like every time she encounters another member of the cast, it's their zany antics are kind of infringing on her peace and happiness with Paracelsus, and the whole time it's them doing something to try to understand her, and she's leaning over and Paracelsus is like, "You gotta look at this weirdo." Like she's literally like a Frankenstein monster, but it's like it's very dicey. It's very guilty here to not undermine her personhood, despite what she was quote unquote made to be and what she may look like. At her core, she's still a gentle, kind, and like, you know, relatively sweet girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something about
one of
her.
my-
Oh,
Sorry.
oh,
You
I was
go
gonna say
first.
something about her obsession with keys. I read that it's about how she was trapped in wherever she was like created, and like the obsession of trying to escape is what made her love keys.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. Something that I think is just really interesting about her personality is how just completely distrusting of everyone she is, and also she seems to have like a strange vendetta against Potemkin specifically.
Really?
Yeah, so her win quote against him is like, "To me, you're the artificial life form." And then in
She's very
her
judgmental.
and then in her story mode, in Action Core, the like split path moment is after fighting Potemkin, and he's like, "Hey, come to Zep, we can make a body for Paracelsus." It's just like if she trusts Potemkin enough or not, and if you say no, like I don't trust you, she's like, "No, your body is weird. Your arms are way too long. Your skeletal
Yeah.
structure is completely off."
I'm looking for a boyfriend. I'm not looking. I need you to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, just,
It makes her kind of similar
your
to.
body's weird.
It makes her a little bit similar to May in a sense, because May is also that kind of way about guys. Like, I know in all of her win quotes, she's always like saying, "Oh yeah, Johnny wouldn't like a girl that's exactly like this. Johnny wouldn't like a guy that's like this and that." But A.B.A is, you know, more self-righteous about it because one, she's not exactly a kid, and also she's doing this for herself.
Yeah. Although May also does have that prejudice against bald people.
Yeah.
Does A.B.A have a hatred of bald people?
I don't think she has a hatred of bald people, but like, just the way she talks to Potemkin is so just out of line.
No.
Or
His
regular
reaction to when she does that as well, he's just like, "Leave me alone," and he'll just
Yeah,
leave.
he's just like, okay.
I think it speaks to like how both of them have progressed as people throughout the story, because I think a huge thing about Potemkin, especially in Strategy, he's kind of at peak of where he is. You know, he's doing his best to achieve his goals. But I'm guessing with A.B.A, like kind of just being introduced to the notion of society, she probably feels like her place is relatively tenuous. And so when she sees like, you know, weird faults in other people, she's probably projecting really heavily into the fact that she's aware that she's like a Frankenstein monster. And so I think she's trying to like push her own thoughts into herself by being like, "Oh, you look like a weirdo, Potemkin," when, you know, she's
Yeah,
really
when she's like can't stand up straight.
That's something I wanted to bring up too. Like, Guilty Gear has a huge fascination with taking folklore creatures of some kind, and you know, I guess Western yokai and regular yokai too, like the vampire. Oh my god, I'm forgetting what the other ones are. The yokai. What are the other ones? Oh, the werewolf, Giovanna. And A.B.A feels like the answer towards what a Frankenstein's monster would be.
Yeah.
And obviously in the, you know, the novel for Frankenstein, Frankenstein is looking for, or the monster, is looking for a wife, and it feels like this is a complete gender and role reversal of that scenario, which is really fun and interesting to explore.
I never thought of it like that, but you're totally right. Like this really is like the Frankenstein book. Wow.
Yeah, Guilty Gear really likes examining like these different folklore tropes, like the vampire. It's not like, what if the vampire was a menace to society? With Slayer, it then becomes, what if the vampire was a garden of wisdom and was constantly looking to give that to other people and was like an elder or a grandfather perhaps, and that's kind of really interesting. And they even solve his vampirism by having Sharon right next to him, so he solves the blood problem. And then you have Nago Ryuki, who's a an alternative view on that same angle of the vampire, where he's losing control completely, and you know is just a weapon of destruction in the same way as Soul. And of course, Giovanna as the werewolf, which is still unconfirmed a bit, but it's more just that she's treating the werewolf or monster side of herself as like a separate other that you can see and is a thing, like that she cares for and she is nurturing due to like I think a past of homelessness. So seeing this gendered take on the Frankenstein is super interesting. Where it's just, hey, what if the Frankenstein's monster was building his wife, and this was the wife and building your husband instead?
Yeah. Something like you bringing it up, like the other monsters. This is slightly unrelated, very tangentially, but just in Strive they bring up how like demi-humans, like vampires and werewolves, like they do not have universal IDs like humans do. So I'm wondering, is A.B.A considered a demi-human? Is she like an artificial human so that she has one, or because
yeah, it'd be super interesting because in Asuka's arcade mode, this is coming out August 24th, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Today's the day that Johnny dropped. But Asuka's mode came out recently for Strive, and in that, A.B.A is mentioned by Asuka, our double doppelpoints, as being a perfect artificial being.
He looks so perfect.
It's honestly kind of strange to me for A.B.A to be referred to as a perfect life form by anyone. Just, I mean, no fault of her own, but I mean, look at her.
It's really interesting too to imagine clean, pristine, religious Asuka looking down on Earth, seeing A.B.A and being like, "Oh my God, why didn't I make this? She's perfect. She's got everything."
A.B.A does actually have a link to demi-humans, as we talked about earlier.
Oh.
No way, you almost got it!
I missed.
So demi-humans can generally see ghosts, like Soul and Nagoryuki.
They
can see
like,
Zappa's ghosts.
Oh, okay.
A.B.A is also able to see Zappa's ghosts, which could mean that she is in some way.
And also S-Code, like... Oh, sorry.
Oh, because the only non-demi-human who can see ghosts is Anji so far.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
all the
really
other
interesting
demi-humans.
for Anji then.
I would assume that probably has to do with his like more spiritual side of him. But
does this imply that other characters can't see Rei from Giovanna, or?
I don't know if Rei is
considered
considered
the other day with someone. Because there's scenes where she's like sitting on Rei, and I don't know what that looks like to people.
Hold on, wait, I just realized.
But
Can
also
I spectate
in
someone
her
else
super,
play?
Rei hits people, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, you just like click on their match and then you can hold the A button to fast forward through it.
Cool.
Or,
I just need a break with my hands.
Oh yeah, totally. But again with like S-Code, it's like and like Zappa's ghost, like she always seems to mention that like S-Code is like very friendly towards A.B.A, and I don't know if that's just a matter of because she's like one of the only people who can see her who isn't a man, because you know S-Code hates men. That's just sort of her thing. But yeah, it's really interesting to think about that. There is that connection with demi-humans like Slayer who can see ghosts and yeah.
It's really interesting too. Does that mean to imply that A.B.A is like in a state of unlife or death, where she's in between realms in a sense, where she is just barely holding on and living? So that's why she can see ghosts and things like that, and why she feels so connected to things like that?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Once again, I do not know the minutia of A.B.A, but that's just my guess on it.
Well, partially that's because like A.B.A isn't really a character who's really been like explained in much depth in the
Yeah.
games even.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like
really-
she's only really appeared in like 2 games, and she has not made a canon appearance ever.
Yeah, no, I was gonna talk about that. I mentioned briefly at the start that she was written by Mori, who is the creator of BlazBlue. And the game that she appears in XX and in Isuka were both not written by Daisuke, so it's actually fair to say that Daisuke has not had a hand in A.B.A's creation or anything at all, besides in the fact of her 2 themes, Quicksilver and Keeping Gates, and in various artworks that he has in the art book, which I really like. Like, she's got one with Soul that I think is cool, and on obviously the cover arts too. But it's like, this is a character that Daisuke has 0 control over, 0 hands on, and I feel like in a weird meta sort of way, that's kind of reflected in A.B.A. Like, A.B.A. is this unrestrained thing. Like, she's carrying this huge burden that she's carrying from a whole other series, and just acts like it's nothing. Like, she is, like, trudging along on her own path. And I kind of really want to see her and strive and see anything that they would go through with this character, but...
Totally.
I almost wonder if, like, people that like BlazBlue really, really love A.B.A. in some way, but I wouldn't know, like...
I mean, personally, I think that A.B.A. is the best thing that Mori's ever designed, so...
I don't want to cross over many toes, but I am a world-class known BlazBlue hater, but...
Oh my god.
uh...
I mean, at least we know that they're not completely ignoring A.B.A. given us as...
I'm so
Arcade
thankful
world.
for at least that little mention, because it's such a crime that she would not be touched at all, especially now that we're inviting more demi-humans with Nagoriyuki and Giovanna. I want to see her interact with them! I want to see her interact with Asuka! I want to see her interact with Asuka like the Doppelkreuz, like, oh my god.
I really want to see her interact with Slayer because, you know, Slayer was the person who defeated the demon Flamant Nagel. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. I did look it up earlier today, but I just completely forgot.
Wait,
But,
Slayer
like,
beat a demon?
Paracelsus, before he became the Demon Axe, or rather just before he was reduced to the state that he was in today, was defeated by Slayer sometime like during the Crusades or after the Crusades.
I had
Yeah,
no
during
idea about this, but
Crusades.
this is so cool.
He was basically like...
sorry.
Yeah, he was basically like, he was like a beast, and then Slayer beat him, which then left like an artifact, which then became the key.
In a weird way, this is just a complete theory and has no basis, but I wonder if that means that A.B.A. was going to be the prototype for Slayer's personal blood bank in a sense, before he ended up landing on Sharon, who has natural blood, or maybe she's the perfected version of A.B.A. in some way. But I think A.B.A. being so tied to blood and also being tied to Slayer has to like mean something, you know?
Yeah. Probably. I think that something that A.B.A. actually does mention in her win quote against Slayer is like she refers to Sharon as like a transfusion, like a blood transfusion pack.
Oh god.
Which you know, kind of disrespectful, but
she does, like, she says something like, "What a useful blood transfusion pack you've got there."
Yeah. But like one thing, it's like Sharon herself doesn't have a universal ID. Like I'm not sure if she is a demon human, but there's something odd about her that the backyard just does not classify her as anything. So that makes me wonder if is she like what you're saying, is she like the perfected version of A.B.A.
Like maybe Paracelsus has a code, you know, but it's A.B.A. herself that is a demi-human and maybe doesn't have a code at all. Like in the meta sense, Guilty Gear is a computer, and vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein's monsters, they are all their own separate folders in the code, I guess. Or I guess they wouldn't have folders at all. It's very weird, I guess, when I think I get into it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep jumping around on all these spectates. I think every time a match ends, I have to go back and re-spectate. But I'm loving seeing all the A.B.A. flailing. She is such a wonderful character to watch on screen.
No, please.
Kill me with rocks!
No.
I got her command grab once. I have no idea what the command was.
Oh, brother.
So, I guess now would be a good time to talk about her themes, and I specifically mean like her musical themes, because
Yes.
Keepin' Gates and Quicksilver are both fucking awesome, and they sound totally unique on the soundtrack too, with
They're
this like
so
horror
good.
vibe.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're so good.
I'm totally in love with the organs that play at the start of Keepin' Gates, where it makes her sound
Mhm.
so ominous, and then this guitar picks in like, oh
Yeah,
my
with-
god.
One of my favorite parts about Keeping Gates is like halfway through it, it starts playing the organ from the start again, but it's at double time. Like it's twice as fast, and then it cuts itself off with like an electric buzz and like
Oh, that's
song
so
that sounds
fucking
like
cool.
a pained like yelp sort of.
Oh wait, no, I know what
And-
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Quicksilver, which
I saw you had a
the
really
name.
cool thread about this today.
Yeah.
I would
well,
love if you talked about it.
So Quicksilver is just another name for Mercury because it looks like silver that moves because it's a liquid metal.
Mhm.
Mercury is what ABBA's blood is made of. Like instead of iron, she has mercury in her blood. Her blood type is listed as a strange liquid containing mercury. So like that's something that I feel like I remember it every 5 months. Just that. Oh wait, that's why the name of her theme is Quicksilver. It's because it's mercury. But
Every 5 months living rent free in your head.
yeah, yep. But just about it is like the way it starts off with the like the heart rate monitor and the like heartbeats, but like the heart rate monitor and heartbeats aren't perfectly synced up, and they grow out of sync even more with like just more erratic beats, and then the drums kick in and it's amazing. But then halfway through the song, like after the guitar like goes out for a little bit, it comes back in, but it's more distorted and not on beat at all, and it sounds so unsettling. It's very off-putting, and I love that. I feel like Keeping Gates, but especially Quicksilver, are just perfect songs for ABBA. They're very unique,
I know
and they just really capture how weird she is.
when I listen to them, I feel like I'm going through a whole emotional state of like confusion, like lost, like fear a little bit. But then it's
Yeah.
it's like I want to understand the person that is like yelping in this song and is going through these kinds of things. There's a very sympathetic aspect to ABBA that I feel, at least.
I also find that it really fits her gameplay because her whole frantic nature, the fact that she has to scramble everywhere for just that one combo that gets her all the way to the end, it feels perfect for the themes.
Oh my
I really hope that if they bring her to Strive, that her theme is just as weird and just as unique sounding. I'm thinking like the circle, but even scarier.
Oh my god, I want to see like full.
I really like the circle.
I love the circle. Oh, remember
I'd love
the
if
hate
they
that
did,
was on
like-
Twitter when that song got released?
There was so much. It's so good.
I think that was the most, I guess I'll say normie people did not like about Strive's soundtrack. Like, I saw so much of, oh, Strive's soundtrack sucks, half the songs sound okay, the rest are just, oh, it changes tempo constantly, and this is the epitome of it. Like, I don't know if you saw Hotashi busted out the whole Shakespearean dialogue about how much he hated the circle.
I mean, I saw Rad Chad, and he was like, oh, I don't really like the circle. And then like an hour later, he was like, guys, I really like the circle.
I was one of those people. I tweeted, I was like, no, I'm not with this. I can't take the rap section. I can't take this. But then, like, I listened to it, like, oh, yeah?
Oh, I honestly, it's not rap. It's like a kind of
Spoken?
like opera or like in musical theater. I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is, but it's like where you keep at the exact same pitch throughout the entire thing, but it's like still like spoken word sounding, but not quite speak. It's like in between speaking and singing, but yeah, it's really interesting. And I watched a video about it the other day, but I forget.
Oh,
what
was
the
it by the
technique was
opera
called.
singer guy?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
I like his videos. He's really nice. But yeah, to go back,
Oh yeah, I've seen that guy.
I was that guy. I did not like it, but then I listened to it 6 times. I was sitting in my nice little cubicle at work, and I was like, okay, you know, maybe I'll get over it. And then it's my favorite song on the soundtrack. I can't listen to it enough. I get something new every time I listen to it. I love Delilah. I love Bedman. I love Romeo.
I spent
Yeah.
hours on Twitter talking with different people, like analyzing the lyrics. I was so not okay, but in the best way.
Oh yeah.
I really hope that when ABBA comes out, like, I want it to be even more divisive than The Circle. I want, like, to go through an
I want it to
entire...
be more divisive, but I want to like it also.
Mhm.
Now that I think about it, I don't think there's a song on Strive's soundtrack that I don't like in some way. Except maybe, like,
Yeah.
Perfection Can't Please Me, but that's
Giovanna's.
because... You're wrong.
I like the music. I don't like the I don't know.
Splash,
It's-
splash,
sorry.
splash!
There's something about it. It's my least favorite.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm a huge geek, I'm a nerd, I love Beastie Boys, so I hear this and I'm like, oh my god, it's Giovanna and she's doing Sabotage, and we're like, it's like we're driving in a car and she's being a cool,
Yeah.
badass bitch, this is awesome!
Yeah.
But this is getting a bit off topic now. If she were in Strive, how would you guys want her to be designed? Like, both lore, story, how she looks?
In terms of how she plays, I don't really care about her moves that much as long as she still has those 2 modes, because I feel like that's kind of the whole point of ABBA.
Yeah.
And then also it'd be kind of fun to have 2 different characters who have like a blood gauge.
Yeah, I think Nagoriyuki's was definitely based somewhat off Baba's blood gauge, sort of, right?
It feels
It's
so
so
similar.
similar.
I'm not sure if it was direct or.
Well, it's Nagoriyuki is all about like ripping away power in a sense. Like as the more he does specials, the more he has to consider things.
No,
the
no,
more
no,
he's
no,
gonna
no,
go
no, no.
crazy. No. And it feels like ABBA is yes. Pedal to the
Yes,
metal.
Yeah. Because Naga wants to keep the blood gauge like short and like down. But like ABBA wants for the blood gauge to be as like because the blood gauge goes down when ABBA gets knocked down. Like you see right there if you're watching that match.
Oh my god, I'm gonna sneeze.
And like when the blood gauge
Okay, we
hits
can go.
0 for ABBA, then she is in her most vulnerable state. But when Nago hits it like all the way to the top, then he's in his most vulnerable state.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh my god, wait, does ABBA not have a dash? Like, or like a...
If you do 2
she
through
has a
6
step
B, she
dash.
has a short dash, but that's only available in normal mode.
Yeah, I've been doing
Yeah.
the short dash, I just... She's like... Yeah.
Her
That's
normal
just
mode
super
has like a
low.
very short bad step dash, but then her Maroha mode, she has the best run animation in the game.
I really love the animation where she's just going baka.
Yeah, she is insane. She is so crazy. Speaking of her animations though, like something that changed from Isuka to XX is that her idle stance for Maroha mode. In Isuka,
Okay.
she has like a very like devious, like evil grin on her face, but in XX, she's like breathing super heavily, like she's gasping for air, and it makes me think that the form is maybe it comes from Paracelsus, and it sort of gives her that power, but her body can't handle that power.
Yeah.
Right?
I never saw Isuka, I just know it as like a weird kind of Smash clone, but that's really interesting. I'm gonna say something that's a little incorrect, and I hope you guys can accept that. But I feel like I really want ABBA to get into Strive because her, more so than any other female character, has a unique body type. And I know right now we're looking at Accent Court, and she doesn't exactly have a unique body type. Like, she does just kind of look a little bit like a sexy girl. But if she were added to Strive, I feel like they could go a full Faust route where she's very thin and scraggly and kind of malshapen, and I feel like Strive is really lacking in that diverse female body representation, and I like honestly it would make her feel a little more trans too, like if she had just had like...
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The gender.
ABBA is
The
just so
gender.
gender too, because like yeah, if you had a comment, sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I was just saying like I'm not sure if like her body type, at least in Accent Court, is the most unique thing, but like her mannerisms, absolutely. Like no other female character at least moves like A.B.A does.
Yeah, every other character, it feels to me like there's a clear distinction to make them look cute or badass in some way. And A.B.A has this sort of reservedness to her, but then also just completely explodes in a completely different direction too, where she's wildly moving her body and limbs like she's just like moves on her own like an animal. I really miss that kind of diversity for girl characters, so I would really want to
It's
see
like
something
we've
like
sort
that.
of got Delilah, like we've got Delilah who's super reserved, but A.B.A's like different. She's different.
Yeah.
Well, we have May, who is an energetic, super sporty, cute girl, and then we have Bridget, who is an energetic, super sporty, cute girl, and then you have Jacko, who is an energetic, super sporty, cute girl, and it's like... Obviously, they all express this in very different ways, and I love each of those characters very much,
Absolutely,
but it's like...
absolutely. I'm #1 Jacko fan ever in the world. She's literally me. Can you hold
so
down her
silly.
command grab?
And Jacko's trans too, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
there's
totally.
no way a cis
100%.
girl has that level of glumpiness.
Have you ever seen a cis girl that obsessed with Halloween?
Have you ever seen a cis girl obsessed with anything?
Right?
Well,
Taylor Swift. Besides Taylor Swift.
but yeah, if they brought her into Strive, I don't know if I'd want them to change her like design that much. I love her weird like shorts for a shirt.
Yeah, no,
It's so fun, and that was something when I was doing my own redesign of her. You know, because I've done redesigns of almost every character in the Guilty Gear series at this point.
You have incredible redesigns, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
Here, as soon as I finish this match, I'm gonna put it up on screen. Or maybe I'll just put it in post. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
But so, like, I wanted to give her, like, sort of a unique feel that sort of still harkened back to, her actual appearance in the game, where she's, you know, just weird, and the hair over the eye made me think, like, Scene Girl. So, I wanted to give her, like, the plaid skirt and like checkerboard and lots of stripes, but then also I feel like if you're redesigning A.B.A, like a key part of her design is just the weird shirt that is made of shorts.
The shirt pants.
It's like she tore a fabric that she saw somewhere and she was like, oh, this is a pretty color, and then she put it on and it's like, yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly. Like it looks like she saw like a pair of shorts, cut them in half, and then wore it as a tank top, and it's so perfect. I feel like that in its own, and I don't want to sound like I'm reading too far into this, although I definitely am. It's very like exemplary of just her. I guess like
Her Frankenstein aesthetic.
Exactly. Just like very like sheltered. So like when she finally, you know, is able to go out into the world and express herself, it's in a way that's very or not unorthodox and
There we go.
kind of strange as well.
I now
Also,
have your
literally,
redesign
what
on the
the
screen
hell
right
is-
now.
Thank you. Also, Ramona, what the heck is up with the ex-A.B.A?
She's permanently in Maroha mode, and some of her specials are swapped, so I can do I can do Fireball in Maroha.
Please make
Oh
sure
no!
you check out Blue Ribbons
Please, spare me.
I'm so bad at this game, I can't even do that.
But yeah, when I look at this design, the first thing I think of is Scene Girl, and it's like, that is such a, like, every character in Guilty Gear has that certain fashion aesthetic where you look at them and it's like, oh, they were clearly inspired by this, and, you know, it used to be that this was, you looked at them and you immediately thought of, like, metal or something, but now that's since kind of changed, and it's like, now when you look at a Guilty Gear character, they represent, like, a rockish metal persona, like they just look like a person. Like, if you look at May, you're like, oh, she's a sporty girl because she has a huge hoodie. She looks very comfortable. This is what, like, a modern sporty girl kind of looks like. You look at Delilah, she's wearing this huge dress and leggings and boots, something that covers up her entire body. You're like, oh, this is a very reserved girl, but she's got, like, eye bags and she's got, like, frizzy hair, so it's like, okay, this is, like, going for a creepy kind of thing. And when I look at A.B.A, I immediately get, like, blasted with, like, freak show horror scene girl. This is a girl that does not care how she presents to you. This is a girl that cares about what is comfortable for her, and she will not care how, like, you perceive it at all. She is here to make her mark on the world, kind of.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I like your choice of scenes specifically too, because an article defined like the origins of scene as like, you know, alternative subculture, as something that was originally derogatory, coming from older hardcore musicians who were trying to purport that a lot of these, you know, attractive popular women were getting involved in hardcore just to be a part of the culture. And I feel like
the whole
it's
poser thing.
something that you could twist in kind of a positive way for somebody like A.B.A, where kind of what I was mentioning before, that she's trying to ingrain herself into society the best that she can, despite, you know, appearing like a monster when you just judge her by her looks. But, you know, again, at her core, she's like this very kind of chill person, even if she is like a little judgy. But I also really like kind of to like loop back super far, the fact that Oscar refers to her as the perfect artificial light, because I think not only does this really highlight the fact that she's such a great and chill person, but I think it also demonstrates how unique she is compared to a lot of the other official life forms in Guilty, because, you know, we see with the Valentines, they're all reflections of existing people in some way, whereas A.B.A is just entirely her own unique person. She's doing the things that she wants to do for her own reasons. And I think that that's kind of beautiful in the lore sense. And then also in a metaphysical sense, I like that, like, you know, that's what makes something perfect in Guilty Gear, is that it has its own self that it has made and it has decided. And I think that also helps with the trans allegory too. I think that that's very sick. And I also wonder, on another meta layer, if that's Daisuke saying like, "Hey Mori, thanks for this cool character."
Oh, that's really cute, actually.
Maybe. I never thought of it like that, but that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Now we just really desperately need her in Strive.
Oh, please, please.
With the law side as well, as you were mentioning how she's trying to like integrate into society again, I think it's really interesting that when she interacts with Faust, the character who's generally seen as like understanding and like he listens to people's problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
When she talks to Faust, he immediately just is like, "Oh God, what happened to you?" and doesn't listen to anything she says.
That's kind of
She's like,
heartbreaking.
well, no. It's like he sees that she's covered in blood. He's like, "Oh my God, we need to operate on you right now."
Oh, and it's like, no, he doesn't exactly understand. No, she's okay. She chose this.
Yeah, and then after the fight, he's like, "Oh, you're looking for a body for your husband." Sorry, I can't really help with that. That's not really my expertise. But I've heard that like Zep is pretty. Like Zep could probably help you.
You know, I think I realized that maybe it's early Guilty Gear, maybe it's current Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear treats a lot of the romances with the girl characters as, like, very comedic in a sense. Like, you have A.B.A in Paracelsus, which is a very funny thing, but it's very serious for her, but obviously to us, the viewer, we're supposed to find it as very funny. You got May and Johnny, which the entire thing is a joke of, ha, that's her dad. She's not into him. I can't really... Jam is the whole thing of, oh, Kai will never get into you, ha.
And obviously Elfelt as well is just like kind of one big joke sometimes.
Oh yeah.
It's weird too.
I hope Elfelt comes to Strive just so that she can have some self-worth.
Yeah. This is why
I think that's a little bit why
I've been shilling like trans man Elfo. Like this is how that he would like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I think I cut someone off.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that's why Axel's relationship is just really special to me sometimes, just because his is the only one that's not a joke sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even Dizzy was completely shafted off camera due to legal reasons, I understand, but still, even in canon, just she's shoved to the side. We are not going to care about her. Jacko doesn't get as much emphasis on her personhood as I would like, but is still like defined by her love for soul and things like that in a somewhat clumsy way. But Axel and Eno have a very pure, complicated, wonderful relationship that I think is very fun to explore. And I really wonder how they would tackle A.B.A and Paracelsus in Strive. Like, would they continue the joke? Like, we just got Johnny's arcade mode, and they did in fact continue the joke with May.
Yeah, I'm thinking they probably would, just because it would be the first time that A.B.A would like appear in the story,
Mhm.
because it's like, of course we know that she exists and she's definitely like a true entity that is real in the world, but like she hasn't appeared in the story in a meaningful way yet, because
Mhm.
Isuka isn't real and XX also isn't real,
ABBA, the
and
girl,
accent
ABBA,
and
the
accent
girl
core
who
like
isn't
is the
real.
least real.
Her
Yeah.
relationship though is kind of weird though, because at the end of her story modes, I mean, one of them, Paracelsus ends up inside of a Robo-Kai head, and the other one, she locks
Yeah.
up Paracelsus in human form and feeds him like human flesh or something.
Or it's like gear flesh.
Yeah.
There's like art of her chopping up a monster with like
Oh,
purple
okay.
blood.
Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly. But like, that shows a relationship that shows happening.
She could connect with Venom in the sense of, hey, we both have very inhuman partners in a sense, huh?
Yeah.
I made a tweet about this the other day, but just like A.B.A and Venom could bond over both of their husbands being Robo-Kai heads.
I would desperately want to see Kai respond to two people dating a robotic version of his head. And imagine being like an
Yeah.
average citizen, you're walking around and suddenly, wait a second, you know that? This weird lady is holding a copy of our king's head. That's a little weird. And then you go into the bakery like, okay, that was a bit weird. Let me go buy some bread. Oh wait, that's another copy of our king's head, huh? Oh, and this one's like
People
really
just
crass.
really like the king.
Something else that I've noticed, like when she interacts with Robo-Kai, is that she always feels the need to like write down notes of everything that he says.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Like
she's
not only
taking
in the
it for
story
truth.
mode, but like not only in the story mode, but also like in her win quote with him, she's like, okay, I gotta write all that down. Give me a sec to
She
find my
goes in-
notebook.
When she goes into the post-war administration bureau and Robo-Kai's like, you need to leave, she's like, oh, hang on, let me just write that down real quick.
Yeah, and he's like, are you taking notes?
Yeah.
I wonder if that is in part again like her misunderstanding, like her foibles in trying to properly integrate herself, because he or she sees and she maybe has a hard time differentiating between Kai and Robo-Kai. And like, how might you feel if you were walking around and you suddenly saw like Robot Obama telling you something? Like, what are you meant to do if you're somebody kind of?
I mean,
on the
isn't
fringe of
that
society
basically
trying to-
Yeah.
Vernon?
My strange addiction. I have
I-
a relationship with Robot Obama, huh?
Like,
Oh my god.
Vernon is basically just Robot Obama. Like,
It's true. It's true. Who would be a better
when they just said,
representation
yeah,
of
the
Kai?
president is a robot, that was really something.
Trying to think if
King
there's...
Louis the 14th, except he's a delightful anime twink, and you see
Fade,
him as a
fade.
robot, and you're like, oh, it really is. And when you see him as a robot, and he's like, oh, you should do this. And he's like, okay, this is probably really good to know. Thank you. I'll jot that down.
But I think her win quote is specifically just like, oh, this guy speaks in a lot of proverbs. I should write this down, just because she also, just like uses those phrases, but like in the wrong way, like how I said
Just like
earlier.
Just like Deep Left Bot, Robo-Kai is her Zen master. This is
Yeah.
I went to... Oh, this reminds me. We forgot to talk about this aspect. I really, really love A.B.A.'s voice. She has a deep voice,
Oh,
and it's so
yes.
wonderful. Like, she kind of talks a little bit like this, and that's
She's
so...
like, oh.
That is so deeply charming. I really love it.
Just the way
She
she's sort of,
sounds like
like,
she's like
not
constantly
sure.
out of breath.
She sounds like she's a little bit unsure about everything she says in a way.
In the ending, where Paracelsus gets transferred into the head of a Robo-Kai, it sounds like she's about to start crying about it. Just like, if I knew this was gonna happen, I wouldn't have come here at all. And it's like, I feel so bad for her. 'Cause it's like,
Come on, don't hurt me. I'm just a little guy. Come on.
Just a little guy.
Oh man, I feel like I have such a deeper appreciation for A.B.A. now. She's really wonderful.
I love A.B.A.
I'm trying to think.
She's
Oh.
really one of my favorite characters just ever, even though there's so little about her.
No, but that's the joy too, right? You can see a character that even visually is stunning, that has like fun things going on in the lore, and you can build entire stories in your mind of what she's up to, how she would react to certain situations. And I think the joy is that there was so much love put into just her small little inclusions, canon or not canon may they be, and that you can just, she's wonderful. You can feel
I think this
a
means
deep
I
attachment to her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get over there. Oh my god, I can't use her bad buttons. It's really hard.
I did just get the achievement for doing my first instant kill when I got killed by someone else's instant kill.
Thanks for
I
the
didn't earn that, but okay, thanks.
But yeah. So if you want to instant kill someone as A.B.A, just 6H in normal mode. It takes about like 2 counter hits, and then they're stunned, and then you can just kill them.
Yeah.
I'm just very happy I figured out the command grab at all, and I tried landing it. I think I got maybe 2. We're closing up to an hour, and I figured I'll drop like.
Goodness.
Yeah, no,
my God,
it feels like it really went by.
Already?
And I feel like I just want to ask you guys like any other things that you forgot to talk about or little things you want to bring up.
Hera
She's
is
literally-
adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
no,
you were saying?
I think I covered everything that I wanted to talk about.
It's interesting. I forgot one last bit, and it's that I can't believe A.B.A was like number 4, number 2, I forget exactly, on the list for most wanted Strive characters. You know.
She was number 1 in South America.
Really?
Campeão de Mundo!
There's the advert of the game already.
Also considering how Frasco is the Portuguese word for flask, I think it's possible that she is Brazilian.
That's kind of
So
awesome.
there's
Like
that.
Luffy.
I would love to see her
Like
interact with
Luffy,
Giovanna
exactly like
then.
Luffy.
Gio, look away from Leo. The perfect woman for you is right here.
Gio and A.B.A.
This pale dude.
And they both have red hair.
It's Soul's like win quote against Zato in Guilty Gear 1, just a pale, emaciated freak.
Every time I see that posted, I lose my shit completely.
Die, you pale, emaciated freak.
Fuck, Chip has one too. What does he say? He's like...
What, you smoke? That's why you lost.
Guilty Gear
God,
1 had such a charming edginess to it that I wish was brought back, but...
It was definitely written by someone who was just out of high school.
Yeah.
Which it was.
It was written by someone who didn't have like a whole like big fan base behind them, and they could do whatever they wanted.
I was talking about this literally today on Twitter. I was like, hey, you know how Johnny's mode, May is like, oh, I still love you, Johnny, and this and that? We are still going with a bit that is 25 years old. It was written by a horny college student who was probably like, you know what'd be hot? If like a girl thought of me as her dad and like wanted to fuck me. And he just... And he...
No, but the direction... They're taking Johnny and they're gonna make him bold. In the next game, he's gonna be bold 100%. Like, his hairline is receding so far.
This
Have
is
you
how
seen
we
that
get
bit
her
of
away.
concept art for him?
This is how I win.
The reason they gave him the beard version is to counter his balding, so that May isn't as scared as him.
What was it, a rad chat that said like, oh, the arcade mode is gonna be Faust, and he's like trying to get his hairline back?
Faust just gives him the afro.
Oh, there you go, problem solved.
I remember when they first like showed that Johnny has a beard now, an optional beard. I thought that in the arcade mode he was gonna be partners with May, and then he would have it in the first round, and then May would be like, that beard looks fucking terrible, sort of like a Vegeta and Dragon Ball GT sort of thing.
You're gross.
I thought they'd explain the beard, and they just didn't. He just has it.
I wonder if
Just has it.
Daisuke was looking through like the handful of people that were digging through the Vast Edge files a while back and scrounged up everything from a website or I think it was a phone app, and then was like, Oh,
they reverse engineered the mobile version of the game that doesn't work anymore.
and he's like, huh, remember that time I drew him with, like, a beard for that, like, pachinko machine? Why don't I just, like, okay. Like, drew it on.
Yeah.
Aww.
I mean, I've seen people saying the jokes about how Johnny's upper body was in the files ever since the game released, and there's just people like, oh yeah, Bridget totally funded his legs. Like, they made his entire upper body, and were like, we just can't make his legs, and then Bridget happened. It's like, we can make his legs now.
Bridget stole the legs, that's why she's got really pretty legs.
Johnny
Start to
took
hear
this
that
drive leg
song.
install.
Oh, brother.
He has two installs, the beard and the legs.
I guess just as a closing remark, and also to kind of set the tone for a lot of how I think I'll be approaching character analysis for these little talks going forward, is that I appreciate really how respectful Guilty Gear is with all of its characters, and that they find some way to humanize everyone. It really almost feels like the Pokemon design philosophy that every character on the roster should be capable of being someone's absolute favorite. And I think that there's something generative and beautiful to that, right? Like, everyone is a protagonist of their own story that you can root for, and no one is truly one-dimensional or just like evil, you know? It's just like the real world. Like, everyone is a firework and experiencing their own deep and amazing world. And you might, be somebody who's just taking a haphazard scroll across the roster in an arcade, and you happen upon some character, and then they suddenly can be your favorite. This weirdo Bride of Frankenstein lady holding a big old key has so much to her, and she's not even one of the most central characters of the game. I think
You could
Guilty Gear
arguably
is
say
so
she's one of the
great.
characters that matters the least, and yet she can matter so much as long as you
absolutely.
think about
the
her.
most.
Mhm.
I think
Everyone,
that's
no
really
matter
cool.
how like villainous they are, they all have some redeeming quality that makes them seem human.
There was a really eye-opening quote from an interview Daisuke did recently, and it's that every single character has some element of goodness to them because he sees them himself in all these characters, He writes all of them as, like, aspects of his own personality, and for Sin, it's like, oh, Sin is my innocence. If I were to fully explore what my innocence would be, this would be him. And I just want to explore how he would react to things. And, like, obviously, he did not make A.B.A, but I still feel like an element of that exists, A.B.A displays, like, a level of innocence, a level of freakishness, a coolness, and probably things he wishes he could be in some level. And that's really cool. I think a lot of people have identified with that. And I guess with that, that's pretty much it for the first episode of Talk About A.B.A.
I'm surprised that I found an hour of things to talk about A.B.A.
I feel like I could go for another 3 hours,
I feel like we could keep going if we wanted
Totally,
to, but like,
but,
we have to stop eventually.
yeah.
It was an absolute joy to talk to you guys. Like, genuinely, this was so
Thank you.
fun.
I had a great time.
If you
It was
guys ever
wonderful.
want to come
Me
back on
too.
for any other characters,
I
I would.
I
love
would
to.
love to.
Jacko or
If
your
you-
soul, like get me on,
Bedman?
get me on. I'm all
If you
for
want the
that.
Bedman, I have like, I've spoken paragraphs on Bedman. I will happily come on.
Oh, absolutely. If this ends up being a success and I don't lose my brains editing this, first of all, sorry if this is very amateurish in post-production. I am a very junior editor. This is the first time I've ever made a video or podcast or anything like that, and definitely my first time playing Plus R. But
Same.
I just wanted to do this as like an expression of love towards this game that I care a lot about, and to the people that play this game and that make me feel happy whenever I read things like this, hear things like this, and talking to you guys makes me very, very happy. Like, I've been smiling like cheek to cheek on this.
Me too.
It's been great, yeah.
If this goes well, I guess next episode will be Anji, because that's the next letter in the alphabet. Or answer. No, Anji, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any last things to say, guys?
Dehumanization is definitely part of what makes her so appealing.
A.B.A is literally me in real life. And if you see me
A.B.A
in the
is
street,
the key
I
to my heart.
will be bleeding.
And with that comes to a close. Thank you all for joining me. Have a good night, guys.
Well,
Good night.
thank you.